Okay, so we have an AOS stereo tuner here where the power comes in and goes straight to the receptacle there, and no overcurrent protection for the power transformer or the circuitry at all. And I'll show it to you from this side here. See, the line cord goes in and goes straight into the power transformer. No overcurrent protection at all. Okay, so we're going to put a line fuse in here. So we're going to unsolder this white wire here. And we'll take the rest of the solder off of this and this other piece of wire here so we can clean this terminal up. Got that off of there. I'll strip this back some more. I want to get this piece of wire off of there. Leave that up. There we go. We got it all off of there. We'll clean this all off here. Make sure you don't burn anything. And a nice clean start. So we will get this straightened back out here. Restrip our wire here. Go in. Let's do this a little longer. Make sure you don't break any of the strands. I come in. I'll go down. Now it looks like they went clockwise on the bottom, so I'll go clockwise on the top here. Go in. I'll twist the strands together here so I don't get them frayed out. Go down, going under, bringing it up, and bringing it over. I'll strip this piece of wire here. Same thing, I'll twist these strands together here. I'll go down. See how I bring that up a little bit? And I'll bring it back over. And I'll bring it back down. And I'll just pull. And I'll push the strands down. This is a nice small little pair of pliers here. I can get underneath things easy with it. I'll make sure my strands are all going over. See, I brought my insulation up to the bottom of the terminal there. I'll just pull this back so it's nice and tight there. I'll use some rosin core flux here. Gotta open it up. Gotta clean the tip. I'm going to use some rosin core solder here from Radio Shack. Dip the solder wiring in the flux. I'm going to put some flux on the connection here that we're going to be soldering. Okay, so I'll be tinning the tip of my iron here. I'll heat this wire in the terminal. Yep, this could be better. copper showing there, so I'll make sure I get a nice flow through there. Got a good connection here. There it is. Okay, here's the fuse block we're going to be using. So we'll take our sandpaper here and we will just clean our terminal up a little bit so we get a good solder connection here. Okay, so we can start with this one here. We'll take and we'll put some solder on our tip here. We'll put our wire into the hole here. And we'll shape it like this. And like that. Take our solder wire. I'll dip it in the flux there. I'll put some flux on the top and on the bottom here. And this is called drop soldering, so I will heat the terminal and the wire. Boy, that's a really nice clean solder joint there. Now this wire, I'll bring it down underneath here. And I will come up to our block about right here. Strip it. I'm going to twist our strands together here. Put it in the hole. I'll make sure no strands are sticking out anywhere. I'll bring this back a little bit. I'll use the pliers, bring the strands down on the front, and then just kind of like curve the back up there a little bit. I'll put some flux on here, some on the top, some on the bottom. Put some more soldering wire on the tip of the iron there. And I'll heat the terminal and the wire. Get a nice flow through there. Let that cool. Whoops, I forgot to go. Oh, I can just unplug this. there. Bring the white wire down out of the way. I'll look at our divider here, make sure it's going to be long enough. Yes, it is. Okay, so I'll poke a hole in the middle of this here. This is plastic that's used for separating electrical contacts. So I'll just poke a little hole into this. Now, just for my own protection, I'd like to put some electrical tape under this little piece of plastic, just to give it some extra protection. And sometimes tape doesn't want to cooperate with you, so you got to fight with it sometimes and cut it off and get a nice clean edge like that there. So cut ourselves off a nice clean edge there. When we're done with the soldering iron, we're going to take and we're going to tin the iron here and unplug it so that I don't burn my tip out. Always a good idea to put some solder on there, and then we'll turn that off so that way I don't burn my tip out. Okay, so now we're going to put a few layers of electrical tape on this here. Run it right down the center here. I'm going to go with 3 layers here. Okay, so now we'll just cut the tape off even with the plastic shim, or not the shim, the spacer that we're using here. We'll poke a hole through the electrical tape there. I'll close this flux up. Okay, so now we're ready to put So we're ready to put a screw through here. Go through the bottom of our block. I'm going to bend these solder joints up. Wire down. knot on the bottom here. Get this lined up so it's nice and neat. Lines all nice and straight there. I'll make sure it's all things all nice and straight. I'll hold this here. I'm going to stand this one up just so it's equal with the other one. Everything's all nice and neat. The wire dress is all nice. I'll push this black wire back down all the way here. I'm using the side of the pliers there to push it over, not the sharp edge there. Now we can put our fuse in. And we're putting in 1/4 of an amp. And there's the fuse I put in close up. The solder connection here. So the reason I put this fuse in the stereo components that don't have a fuse in them is, see your house fuses? See the thickness of the filament inside those fuses? If something were to go bad in the stereo unit here, I'll show you what can go bad. If that little bridge rectifier goes bad there, it can overheat the power transformer here, and if the windings short out in the power transformer, it can overdraw current and cause damage to the power transformer, and there is a possibility that a fire could start, and the unit would all be at the mercy of the house fuse here, which hopefully will burn out before a fire starts, but there would be damage to the power transformer. Now see how small the little filament is inside the fuse I put there? So if the power supply shorted out here and started drawing a lot of current on the power transformer here, hopefully it will blow that fuse I put in before it damages the stereo or starts a fire. And your household circuit breaker is also equivalent to the household fuses there, 15 and 20 amp. It mainly protects the wiring in the walls and not as much the equipment that's plugged into it.